Ladies and gentlemen, the Broncos have released their initial 53-man roster. We're going to be talking about that today. We're not going to talk about the practice squad because the practice squad isn't set. That will be set tomorrow. But we're also not going to talk about the IR. But if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel down below, as the support is greatly appreciated. Now, there were some surprise cuts, and I will talk about a few of them when we get to them. But I was shocked. The main one that I was actually really shocked by was us cutting Netani Moody. I thought Moody was a very solid backup guard and could eventually be a starter. Just the injury concern with him was the main thing. I'm shocked we waived him. But without further ado, let's jump into this. And of course, I want to remind you that Jesus is king. I pray that you give your life to him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you, and I just truly hope that you believe in your whole heart that Jesus died on the cross for your sins. And if you do, then you'll go to heaven. It's that simple. It's that easy. And of course, the decision is up to you, and I hope you make the decision to give your life to Jesus. But as a Christian, I do feel it's important to share this message with as many people as possible and get the gospel and the word out there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump into the roster. Starting with the quarterback position, we are carrying two quarterbacks on the initial 53-man roster. Of course, Russell Wilson. I mean, that was fairly obvious. And then Brett Rypien wins the backup job over Josh Johnson. Now, I did predict Josh Johnson to win the backup job, but I am not mad about Brett Rypien. I really like Brett Rypien as a backup quarterback. He's so smart. He knows the offense, and he helped. There was a report that came out that said he helped Drew Lock learn the playbook when he was still trying to learn the playbook. He is super smart. Maybe doesn't have the greatest intangibles such as arm strength and whatnot, but he knows the offense and he'll make smart decisions with the football. So I'm happy that Brett Rypien is the backup quarterback. He's earned it, being on the practice squad for the past few seasons. I'm happy with Brett Rypien being the backup quarterback. Now, moving on to the running back, we are carrying three of them. Obviously, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, and Mike Boone. Williams and Melvin Gordon will be splitting the carries, but I think Javonte will probably get 70% of the workload, while Melvin Gordon gets about like 30-ish, and then Mike Boone will get thrown in there somehow. I know that doesn't add up to 100% with Mike Boone, but yeah. I do expect Javonte Williams to be the primary back this season, and yeah, I'm expecting a breakout year for Javonte because he's an absolute beast, and I expect him by season's end to be one of the best running backs in the league. But yeah, it's going to be Javonte, Melvin Gordon, and Mike Boone as the three running backs that the Broncos are going to keep on the roster for at least initially. Moving on to wide receivers, and another surprising cut for me was Kendall Hinton and Seth Williams. I thought those two were going to make the roster. They don't. But here's the roster. We got Cortland Sutton, my favorite player in the league, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Montrell Washington, who has been an absolute beast this preseason. What a gem by George Paton to find him in the 5th round. You got Tyree Cleveland, our 7th round pick from 2020. He's going to get some time on the active roster after spending a few seasons on the practice squad. And undrafted free agent out of Appalachian State, Jalen Virgil. And, he did make that one blunder on the kickoff return back against the Vikings in week 3 of the preseason, but he's still dynamic, and I think he's a very solid player on this team, and I can't be mad about it. I did expect Brandon Johnson to make the roster, but he did get injured, and I think he's going to IR, but for now, this is going to be the initial wide receiving core, and it does look a little thin, maybe. I mean, I like the roster. I'm surprised, once again, Kendall Hinton and Seth Williams didn't make it through. So do we make a trade? I know we were rumored in a Jalen Reagor trade potentially. I don't know. This is just the initial one. So if a move has been made afterwards, I haven't seen it because this is right. Like, I'm making this as soon as they release the initial 53-man roster. That's when I'm filming this. So if a move has been made, then I don't know about it as of the time of recording. Then we have tight ends. We have 4. We got Albert Okwuegbunam, Greg Dulcich, Andrew Beck, and Eric Saubert. Now, Eric Tomlinson is expected to re-sign with the team in a few days. But for now, it's Okwuegbunam, who is going to be the starting tight end. Greg Dulcich, who's going on short-term IR from a report, so he'll be on IR for about 4 weeks, and then he'll be ready for week 5. Andrew Beck can play fullback, can play tight end, so I expect him maybe playing a little bit of both, but mostly fullback. And then Eric Sauber is kind of like Andrew Beck. I expect him to be our main blocking tight end for the offense. But those are the tight ends that the Broncos are carrying on the initial 53. Moving to the offensive line, I decided just to put them all in one. I'm not going to split up centers from guards, from tackles. I'll tell you what role they'll play. Garrett Bowles, obviously the starting left tackle. Dalton Reisner, starting left guard. Lloyd Cushenberry's the starting center. Quinn Miners, I expect to be the starting right guard over Graham Glasgow, but it could be either him or Glasgow. Billy Turner at right tackle. Graham Glasgow, like I said, could start, but also could be a backup guard. Potential trade candidate as well. Luke Wattenberg, the rookie, I do expect him to be a center, but if we need him to, I do think he can play guard as well. Calvin Anderson and Cameron Fleming are both expected to be the backup guards, although I could see Calvin Anderson potentially starting over Billy Turner if he's still injured by that time. But if Billy Turner is fully healthy for week 1, I do expect him to start. If not, we got Calvin Anderson ready to start at right tackle. Moving on to the defensive line, we have 5 players that will be playing between defensive tackle and defensive end. I expect DJ Jones to be a defensive tackle, and that will be his primary position, to eat up some blocks and stop the run. I expect Draymond Jones now to be the number 1 defensive end now that Shelby Harris is in Seattle, and I'm expecting a breakout season from Draymond Jones off the end. Now, this is a tough one. Who starts on the opposite end from Draymond Jones? I think it's going to be Ioma Uwazurike, the rookie out of Iowa State. I think he's proven a lot this preseason, although I wouldn't be surprised if it's Deshaun Williams or even Matt Henningsen. Obviously, Ioma was drafted above Henningsen, but it's all about how you play and perform on the field. So, who knows? I would say Ioma probably starts at right end, then have Henningsen be the backup, and then Deshaun Williams the backup defensive tackle. That's what I would expect it to be. But of course, George Paton, Nathaniel Hackett, they're going to make it how they see these players best fit. And obviously, I trust George Paton. He's done a great job on turning this franchise around. So, yeah, I think DJ Jones is a lock at defensive tackle. Draymond Jones is a lock at defensive end. And then who starts at the opposite defensive end? I think that's up in the air for debate. So, yeah, we'll have to see. All right, moving on to the outside linebackers. Here are the linebackers that we have. We got Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory, Baron Browning, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, and Aaron Patrick. Now, because we run a 3-4 system, the outside linebackers are actually our edge rushers. I'm hoping Bradley Chubb has a big year and we sign him to an extension. Hasn't really been able to stay on the field due to injuries. I'm hoping he can live up to that 5th overall pick expectation when we drafted him back in 2018. Randy Gregory, we brought in, we're betting on the upside with Gregory. So, yeah, and with us trading away Malik Reed, that's a big one. So I'm guessing Randy Gregory is ready. Baron Browning has really impressed at edge rusher, moving from inside linebacker. But that doesn't surprise me too much. He was really dominant at rushing the passer in college back in Ohio State. So moving to outside linebacker was honestly not a worry of mine. You got Nick Bonito, who is a pass rush specialist. Most people play on third downs when you need to sack the quarterback. That's when I expect him to be in. Jonathan Cooper, 6th-round pick in 2021. He had a great rookie season last year for a late-round pick. So, actually, was he a 6th-round pick? I think he was actually our 7th-round pick last year because, I think he was actually our 7th-round pick because we had Jonathan Cooper. There was, who was it? Who's the corner that we traded to the Eagles out of the 7th round? He was the speedster, and then we also had Marquise Spencer. Jonathan Cooper had a great rookie year, and then Aaron Patrick is an interesting one. Of course, with trading away Malik Reed, you have to have some depth. So Aaron Patrick is going to be that depth at outside linebacker and edge rusher. So I'm excited to see this core. I hope Bradley Chubb can stay healthy. I hope Randy Gregory can stay healthy, and they form one of the better pass rush duos in the NFL. So we'll have to see how that plays out week 1. But yeah, moving on to inside linebackers, we are carrying 4 on the active roster: Josie Jewell, Jonas Griffith, Alex Singleton, and Justin Sternad. Josie Jewell, that hard-hitting, run-stopping, run-supporting linebacker. He's gotten a little bit better in coverage. I think that's his weakness, though. Jonas Griffith, who got hurt in the preseason, I think he's expected to be back week 1. I'm so excited about Jonas Griffith. I think he was such a steal by George Paton. We obviously traded for him before last season for a 5th-round pick. We brought him in just to play special teams mostly, and when he ended up starting, he has looked amazing. I mean, what a steal by George Paton. I think Jonas Griffith is going to be a beast this season. Alex Singleton, we brought him in from the Eagles. I'm excited about him. I'm excited to see what he can do with the Broncos. This is probably one of the weaker parts of our team is the inside linebacker position. And then you got Justin Sternad, who's going into his 3rd season, but really it's like his 2nd. We drafted him in the 5th round of 2020, but his rookie year, he got injured. So last year was technically his 1st season playing. So we'll see if he can build on that 1st season. Wasn't super great when he played last season, but we'll have to see how he pans out. Moving on to cornerbacks, we are carrying 6 of them. Those are Patrick Surtain, obviously, Ronald Darby, obviously, Quan Williams in the slot as a slot corner, Michael Ojemudia, who, he got hurt. Will he go on to IR? I haven't seen a report of that yet, but we'll have to see. He struggled in the last preseason game when he played against the Bills, and then Damari Mathis, our 4th-round pick out of Pittsburgh. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he is very, very promising. And then you got Isang Bassi at that 6th spot. There are a couple guys you probably could have had start here. You could have had Jaquan McMillan, undrafted rookie out of I think it's East Carolina. You could have had Fionn Hicks, who was our 7th-round pick this past draft. But you get Isang Bassi, who was undrafted a few seasons ago. And, he was signed by the Chargers at the end of last season. And I think George Paton knows that a couple other teams like Isang Bassi, and we're going to keep him on our team because we like Isang Bassi as well. But yes, that's the cornerbacks. And now we are going to finally move on to the safeties, where we are carrying 5 safeties. Those being Justin Simmons, obviously, Kareem Jackson, who I see playing more of the nickel role, maybe a little bit in dime packages, but I don't know if he's going to be necessarily the full-time starting strong safety. I would say Caden Stearns might have earned the right to be the starting strong safety after a strong rookie season last year, but I really don't know. Maybe they start Kareem Jackson at strong safety, and then they give Caden Stearns 1 more year to develop, and then they throw him in that starting strong safety role. Then you have DeLorean Turner-Yell, who is our 5th-round pick out of Oklahoma. Kind of replacing Jamar Johnson, who was active for only a few games last season before being waived. I think, was it before the 2nd preseason game, after the 2nd preseason game? But yeah, DeLorean Turner-Yell is taking that spot. And then P.J. Locke is also going to be a safety who has shown some promise. We signed J.R. Reed, who we waived and cut. But yeah, P.J. Locke is going to be on the active roster. So the Broncos like him. I think he's not bad. I think he actually has played solid when he's been in the game. So those are the 5 safeties that we are going to be carrying on the roster. Now let's move on to the special teams, where we have Brandon McManus. I mean, this is an obvious one. And then maybe a bit of a surprise to some people, but Corliss Waitman is going to be our punter over Sam Martin. Sam Martin was a terrific punter last season, but maybe he was just a little bit too expensive. So, I mean, you get Corliss Waitman, and if he won the job fair and square, hey, I'm all for it. I don't know. I would have probably kept Sam Martin. I know he's a little bit more expensive, but he was just such a great punter when we needed to punt. Hopefully we don't have to punt that much, but yeah, Corliss Waitman will be our starting punter this season. And then Jacob Bobenmoyer is our long snapper. Not much to say. He's been our long snapper now for a few seasons, replacing Casey Kreider from a few seasons back. But yeah, this is the Broncos' current initial 53-man roster. If you would like me to make a quick video going over maybe the practice squad in the future, I can do that. Or maybe going over the practice squad and the injured reserve in a few days, let me know. I'd be down to do that if you guys want to see that. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.